Well, good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to start with you talking about developing your online and offline strategy. We are in week 5, and this is module 12. And some really good information that I thought came out of this module. But before we jump into that, any success stories from this last week for you guys? How did you do on pop buys, or anything that happened that is a positive?
So I didn't do pop buys, but I'm doing them today. I have a couple hours in between showing, so I have clients, 30 miles away, so I'm gonna hit those areas. But I did have a listing appointment. I got a referral and I had a listing appointment, so that was good. But they're possibly a year out, so, but at least, made the connection.
Yeah. And it is a referral. So
yeah,
that's awesome. The referral is so good. So the person that gave you the referral, is it somebody that has given you referrals before, or is it a new referral?
So it was someone who I helped. We looked at 50 homes and I was going to help them buy and sell their house. And they ended up going with a FSBO.
Oh, that's right. I remember your story from last week.
Yeah, but I did do their family estate, their mother's estate listing. And so it was one of the siblings that reached out to me, and her brother sent her my name. And so, yeah. So I think this couple that I was helping, I think they'll send me quite a few referrals because they feel really bad. But also because I did a good job helping sell their mom's place. So,
well, yeah, you have their confidence. They know you, like you, and trust you. And that's awesome. There's nothing better than a referral business.
Yeah. Also, I was just gonna say, a lot of times you hear stories about agents who, they're listing clients, they go FSBO, and the agent's basically like, F off, like, you don't know what you're doing, and it's just terrible to them. Clearly not doing that means you can, maybe they went FSBO, but they're sending you referrals, they've sent you to their family.
Yeah, exactly, because that is your first reaction.
Yep.
I had to digest this for a couple days because we had written 4 offers with them, and we're talking $700,000-$800,000. We were under contract twice. So I did have to digest it for a few days and then just, and then I went back in and I check in on them, how's it going? How's the inspection? I'm going to send them an email today to remind them to make sure they do a final walkthrough, so I'm still helping them kind of, but on the back side. But yeah, it was hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it's true though, Joanne. But I've heard so many stories, and maybe you have too, of people that have really felt like they were going the extra mile and they weren't really getting the reward like they thought that they would. And then the reward came later with so many referrals at a really high level. And I know of somebody that sold a $160,000 townhouse, and they worked really hard to get this person under contract for this really small transaction. But then this person turned out referring it. They had actually millions of dollars. And so it ended up being a huge investment. And that was a story that I got back with one of the regional leadership people that was very successful. So that, I think you really have to appreciate. Sometimes we don't get the opportunity to get that business, but it is the opportunity to make a positive difference, to build the relationship and get the referrals.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Yeah, but it hurts.
It does. It really impacted my budget for this spring.
Oh yeah. I have a rule though. Go ahead.
They just so then at first they said, oh, but we still want you to list our house. And then I talked to him last week. He goes, we figured out we don't have to sell our house to buy this house. So we're going to keep it and rent it. It's like, really? So
that's so true. It is so true. But when the relationship goes deep though, it's years and years, and you look at the people that you've had, and I can look into my database, and there are some people that, because I've been doing this for so long, 34 years, there are some people that go back, and I've actually done transactions with children that I was at their baby shower when they were born.
That's so cool. My brother's like that too. He's been in it for about 15 years, and watching him and how he pretty much just does referral business too, because he's helping, it starts with one family member and then it spreads out. So yeah, I just feel like you have to put it out there. You have to put your best foot forward all the time. And eventually, and kind of what I like about this business is you'll be going along with your day and things just drop in, when you don't even expect it. And you're like, wow, that was a client that I've been staying in touch, or a lead that I've been staying in touch with for a year and a half,
Yeah.
So
Which really is kind of, it reminds me of one of the things that that Buffini talked about just today, was that you get to the point where you can trust the system because it works. How about your week, Olivia? How was your week?
It was pretty good. I guess the success is that listing. I should have a listing coming up now in, I don't know, maybe the next 2 weeks, I would say. I'm meeting with them Monday to kind of put a more definitive timeline together. So, what else?
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, they have to move. They're making offers on homes in Florida. So it should be, I don't want to say they haven't signed paperwork yet. They've wanted to wait to sign until their employment contracts are finalized and all these things. So it's not officially done, but.
That's progress though. That's awesome. So we'll keep it and following up on that, and hoping that appointment goes really well on Monday. So fantastic. So last week we talked a lot about the goals and being a goal getter and things like that. How do you guys feel you're doing as far as the action items for the Buffini program? Do you feel like most of us don't get everything done? So I don't want to put you on the spot. How do you feel about how you're doing with your action items? Open houses are hard to do right now. That's just a fact. But how are the personal notes going and calling the people? Have your mayor campaign conversations been going okay?
Yeah, I think what this has done is, when you start this program, before you start it, you're sort of all over the place. So it's really, honing in and getting that routine going. And so I think I finally have hit that point where my day doesn't start, or I can't start my day until I get this done. So it's forcing me to really put together a schedule and a routine. So I get up earlier so I can work out, so I can shower, so I can get my calls, so I can write my notes. With last weekend, with Memorial Weekend, it was my mom's 85th birthday and we had a big party for her. So that kind of derailed me a little bit. So I have to do some catch up this week, but at least now I feel like I can't finish my day until I've done, my notes, doing my phone calls, and I'm still trying to kind of merge so I use First IO. I have another lead gen program that I was debating keeping her. It's good because I've had 2 closings from it. So it's it's kind of expensive, but it's pretty quality leads.
What is it?
And it's called Pipeline Pro.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's really we can get into that in a little bit, or you feel free to call me, Olivia. I'll put my phone number on here. and I can kind of explain it to you, but it's been difficult because we don't have a lot of listings right now. So it's really based on borrowing listings from colleagues in your office and helping promote it, and then it pulls in leads for you. But we just don't, we just haven't had a lot of really good listings that pull people in. But anyway, so I'm still sorting through my database. I still feel like I need to get on track with that. I think I'm going to drop First IO and go with just Referral Maker, because they kind of do the same thing. Don't you think, Heidi?
Well, I think that Referral Maker tells you the people that you're engaged with, and you when you qualify them, you rate them. What First IO does, though, is it uses artificial intelligence and predictive analytics to actually see. It
That's
uses
true.
79 points of information to see what people are doing online. Now, I will say I'm not sure with the new rules how, when you get on Facebook, when you do your update and it says, do you want to be tracked anymore and things like that. I don't know how that's going to affect that program. So I still have it. I haven't really seen a big difference yet. So we'll see though. But that's the thing. If you're calling the people that are number one, we should already know if they're getting ready to do business and thinking about it without having to rely. Yeah, go ahead, Olivia.
I would bet that in a few months that IO, I now am getting all of those. Will you allow this website to track you? I say no without hesitation. I am guessing there will be a lot of people who do the same. It's probably just going to take a couple months for it to truly catch up.
I agree. And so I haven't seen what it's done, but I totally agree, because I say no too. People don't really want to be tracked, and it just got to be too much. So we'll see what happens, really. The new technology and the changes that this is making, we'll see how it impacts our business. But First IO is only available to RE/MAX agents. And it was $99 a month before RE/MAX went into partnership with them. And I think it's $39 now, something like that.
I think I paid $800 about last July when I signed up for it. So does that come to? Yeah, so maybe it's even cheaper now, because I was one of the first ones to sign up for it last summer. And I think it was like $7.99.
Well, I would have to look into it, because we were in the program before. And so we got a little bit of an incentive when we came over, because we had been paying so much before. So I don't know, but I honestly would have to say, I think that the CRM Referral Maker is the better tool, just because of what we put into it. We're building the relationship. And I agree with Olivia. People are saying, no, don't track me. They don't want to be tracked. And so, so let's talk a little bit about online strategy. I think it's a perfect segue into what we're talking about today. And one of the things that really stood out is this winning formula. So if we are 70% relational, then it totally supports what we were just talking about. 70% of our business is coming from our relationships, and only 20% digitally. So if people are out looking, we should be talking with them. They should be thinking of us as the real estate resource without us having to track them. So he went through kind of quickly the working by referral fundamentals. We know that we're supposed to build, sort, and qualify our database and use the contact, care, and community features, touches to do that. And then we are going to generate referrals and give our excellent customer service, which continues to do that. So one of the things that really stood out to me, though, is the difference between a lead and an impression. That whole chart that was on there in the digital part where they're talking about the technology trap, because everybody wants to sell you something. We know that. And people would like to have some magic that they could just buy. But this is where it really meets the road, because we know that online leads are only 3% conversion, but that's because they're really just impressions, right? They're not leads. And I love the way he did this. And this is the first time I've seen this chart in the 100 days. So they haven't been in the other programs. This is the new 100 days. So then it's the inquiry, and then they're curious, and then they could become a prospect when we capture an email and phone number. And so they're a lead after we've qualified them. as an actual opportunity. So really, we've really engaged them before they're ever a lead. And so when people say they have an online lead, it doesn't necessarily mean they have an online lead. They might have an impression. And that's one thing that is really important when you're talking and to these people that say, hey, we're going to sell you these leads. They're really basically impressions that they're selling you, you know? And so we don't necessarily need that. There are some programs that will scrub leads and do that, and they're very expensive. And so, but capturing the online leads, that's the thing. People are online, they're looking, and they are really, you know, they need a safe place because there are so many people that are out there that, you know, they're looking in different places and everybody wants to capture them. So you have to have a good call to action. And did you notice the two things that he had that are pretty neat there? And his system will do it automatically. So if you put the lead in, then you can put them on the drip and have it done. But the 10 mistakes buyers make, did you, in the resource center, great tool. And then also the things that sellers must know, I think it's the 5 things there. And it is, I'm gonna go ahead and let's see, I can share my screen here. Let's see, I'm gonna bring these up just so that we can look at them real quick here. Get them, share screen. I love the tools that he has in his CRM, and it really, when you are a member, like you are getting the benefits of a membership now because you're in the class, you get all of these things, but it does continue, and it continues to have cool stuff for us. So here we have, you can see the 10 mistakes buyers make when purchasing a home. What a great thing to send somebody when they have, you know, just an impression, an inquiry, something good, something to follow up on. And then I'll switch over here. Here's the 5 things to do before you sell your home, which is a great thing to send also. Those, and then the buyer questionnaire here. So this is what I think is, you know, it's really interesting. It's a call to action. So when you're doing a call to action for a seller, it's usually how much their house is worth is what they really want to you know, that's the best call to action is a free CMA or get the value of your home for a seller. The 5 things sellers must know. This looks excellent as a call to action to me. Get their interest, but I don't mean a call to action. The call to action is to get their response. So looking at the inquiry, we need them to respond, and so you look at creating an opportunity. So sending them something like that. It will help get their interest, but the best call to action, you heard him say, you know, the hot sheet is a great call to action, or your deal of the day or deal of the week. So when you see good deals out there. And the other one is that buyer questionnaire. That's a great call to action for buyers because they want to be understood. They want to find what they're looking for. And you notice how he used video. So I'm probably going to go ahead and get the BombBomb to go with my CRM because it's easier, and I think it's the same price as First AIO. Maybe we can just trade them out. But you know, being able to send that video, I thought it looked really nice. And then he had the questionnaire, and he showed him, I'm sending you the questionnaire and some listings, but then he's actually emailing them. But the video follow-up looked really nice, and then they could see what they were getting. I like the way he did that. And of course, if you have people that don't have email, you could actually deliver. You could, you know, do it that way as well. But so the call to action is super important. And you know, the way to manage those online leads, it's so important because it takes so long to actually get them to convert. And so with social media, one of the things that you know, you gotta capture them, and you've got to get their interest. You've got to get them curious, and then lead them into you know, actually giving you their information so they become a prospect, and then they, you get them qualified and they actually become a lead. And then when they want to do business and you want to do business with them as well, then you have an actual customer. And so when you look through how to position yourself with your online strategy, in other courses I've learned that it takes about 14 months of incubating somebody online to really get them. That's about how soon they start looking. And I think that's an NAR statistic. As the average buyer starts looking online or seller about 14 months before they're actually converted. So you have to have a good campaign, and that might have been shortened. That I think is a pre-COVID number, and I think people are more online now than ever. So let's say even if you shorten it in half, though, it still gives you a 6-7 month period to convert these people. And so engaging your network with helpful information, I think that this program, the CRM, if you're not somebody that has helpful information, and I know like Olivia does her podcast, and she's got some really great stuff, but having turnkey information like this in the CRM is really helpful for those who want this at their fingertips. And it's important to notice that there's no separation between the personal and professional. So I thought it was interesting, the story. How would you like to be the person that he tells the story about that came in for that interview, that was the party girl? I bet she learned her lesson. But I'll tell you, about 4 or 5 years ago, when I was hiring an office administrator for our office, I had made a decision to the point where I was just doing my reference checks and some additional research, and I ran into that exact same situation. I ran into a lady, and I was going to hire her. I totally was. And I'm looking at her site, and everything on her Facebook page was a selfie or something about herself. She's a party girl. I knew she had children. I knew more about her life, but there was nothing about her life. And it totally cost her the job. I did not hire her after looking at her digital impressions that she had. And she was shocked. And she called me, and I told her, I said, well, your personal life doesn't reflect the type of person that we want to hire, and it's visual. And now, that's your business. You're going to be in relationship with us, and that's not who we are. So I wish you well in your job search. This isn't your job. So anyway, that was an aha for me too. And I've talked with a lot of people when I'm talking with them about getting into real estate, about going in and making sure that their personal pages reflect their business opinions and things like that. Because they don't stay separate. They cross over. You go on your personal page to like people's things, and they see you. We're visible. We have to make sure that the message we're giving is the one that we want to give. And I've seen some bad jokes before, haven't you? I mean, you're like, why would somebody post that joke? It's like, oh. So anyway, every now and then you gotta give somebody some grace, but there's some bad stuff you see out there.
I have a question for you guys,
Yeah.
for both of you. Do you have both a personal, like Facebook, Instagram, and a business and personal Instagram, or have you guys kind of merged it into one? Are you using one account?
Olivia better answer the Instagram because she is the millennial in the room.
I thought very hard about what I wanted to do, and so I merged back like when I started in September when I became a realtor. So I took my personal page on Instagram and I just made it public and started following more, and I made it public and I merged personal and business. My Facebook, I didn't have Facebook for like 10 years. So I started a new Facebook page like last year. I have a business page too. I'm not really on Facebook that much though.
I'm not either.
I don't like when they're separate pages. I mean, have separate pages. I don't like when a page is only real estate. I personally wouldn't want to follow my realtor's own like business only page. And I think a lot of people my age feel similarly.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because you want to, kind of what Heidi was saying earlier, like you do want to see someone's personal life. Of course, you want to be thoughtful about what you're sharing, which is kind of another topic, and I might feel differently than some people. But yeah, I think merging makes the most sense. I also merged because I had like 300 of I didn't know every single person, but all my friends and family followed me there. So it's like, I'm not going to ask them to follow another
I know. That's
page.
so that's been because when I started, I did my Facebook business page, but I don't have much activity on it, you know, but when I do anything on my personal Facebook page, that's where I have the most followers, and same with my Instagram. So I've kind of been debating and managing you know, well, that's 4 accounts, right? It's just sometimes you don't have time to do either. So
Yeah, sometimes I'll share I don't have 2 Instagrams, but I have a personal Facebook and a business Facebook page. Sometimes I'll share certain things that I want to post on my professional page to my personal, or like real estate. I don't share personal things on my professional Facebook page. If I share something real estate on my personal page, I'll share it to my business page.
Mhm.
But from what I know a lot of agents, not here in Denver, but elsewhere, who have massive social media followings. I'm talking millions, hundreds of thousands, couple million followers. There's a guy in Florida that I've become friends with, and a guy in Toronto. They post funny, maybe sometimes controversial. They post the whole spectrum of whatever they want to post, and they get all of their business now is social media and referrals.
wow.
So, and I'm not saying everyone can do that, but
Right.
Right.
the generation that they're appealing to, I think we think about things a little differently.
Yeah.
Well, I think it really boils down to the fact, though, that to keep sustain a business long term over time, where you're not having to hunt for new business all the time, you want to build a business by referral, and that is what Buffini is all about. And so, you know, that whether we can have the opportunity to you know, get out there and do coffee meetings and actually do client events and do open houses and those types of things. We're so fortunate now that we can get outside, because it's been a really tough year and a half almost of having to really be creative, but some really good things have come out of that. And just like the ability to do classes online like this, and the ability to talk to our people, and video being more part of our lives and less running around in our cars showing property, and getting people to really kind of hone in on what they're looking for before we get out there. But there's just so many benefits too that we have come out of this. But I like that how he ends it. So open houses are a great way to meet people, and you want to have that call to action. It's just really hard to get them right now with the limited listings that we have. So we'll continue to look for that as our market. We see a little bit of softening, but not a lot. I mean, we're still really strong. But one of the things that I think is really great is his use of video, and I'm definitely going to try to do more of that myself and sign up for that. Always carry business cards. It's notorious. You will almost find out of every 5 realtors, 4 of them don't have any cards on them. It's crazy. So I think it's huge. You have to have your cards with you. And the other thing I thought was really a good recommendation is to immediately enter information into your CRM using the mobile app, because that's the hardest thing to remember to do. And like, oh, what did they say? Or, you know, trying to keep that information top of hand. And the buyer questionnaire, if you get that information, that really helps to update some of that stuff too. And you might check with the office too. So your offices, when people leave the office, the manager gets some of these deadwood leads. They were online leads that never went anywhere. And so they can reassign those leads. Sometimes they just sit there and do nothing. But you can check with your office manager and see if they have any leads that were left from people that left that you could follow up on, because they're in there. And there's usually quite a few of them. What happens when they leave the company, if it's a Remax or a lead that came from Homes in Colorado, if they leave the company, those leads bounce back to the manager in the office. Only Remax generated leads, that's all. And so, and you never pay a referral fee for a Remax generated lead. So it doesn't mean that that person is necessarily going to get captured by someone else. If they've built a relationship with them, it's you know, it's a done deal. We just don't want to leave people out there hanging. So if somebody leaves, then, and they leave the leads there, then there is an opportunity to follow up on some of those unconverted or re-engage the cold leads. So it's an option. And you do check with your office manager on that. And so for this week, you know, really, we don't have a lot of different things to do this week. To continue working on our processes and the system, calling the people, you know, the 5 people a day, writing our personal notes, and pop by the 7 people. And for the 3 personal note, or for the 5 people in the database and the 7 people that you pop by, that really is 12 opportunities for personal notes. Because if you do a pop by and you can notice something special or have something come up in the conversation, it gives you a great follow-up opportunity to just get that extra touch in. And of course, it's great to be able to say, you know, I really enjoyed talking with you today. You can go back to week 2, module 6. There was the sample personal notes that he had. There were some really good ones in there, especially like when you want to do a personal note to like a wait staff or somebody like that I'm talking about. You know, dear Lois, thanks so much for the excellent service. It's obvious that you love what you do. It's a good life. And so, you know, there are some really good scripts here to help with these action items. I don't know that we'll be able to hold an open house. That is the biggest thing. We don't have a listing that isn't under contract right now. We've got a couple maybe coming. You might get one here coming up. Both you, Joanne, and Olivia might have an opportunity for an open house. So hopefully that'll work out. And then next week is working with a buyer, part 1. And I think we all know we're getting lots of practice. And so we'll be able to see what we might be able to add, some little nuggets to make it an even more enjoyable process. Anything else that you guys want to bring up today, or anything that with our program, or any goals to set for this week for your personal goal getting?
I have one thing. An esthetician that I see, she is expanding her practice in Arvada, and she asked me to help her out with a lease. So I know I won't make a ton of money off that, but I'll help her. And I used to do that, so I'm going to help her with that. But there's a property for sale that the agent who's on this other listing put in front of me. I guess the SBA has like a special program right now with COVID relief for small business owners. They can get like 3 free months of their mortgage covered. And so she referred me to a preferred lender of the SBA, and my esthetician client, she's like very interested about potentially buying a property for her business in Arvada. So my goal is within the next week, help her figure out which direction she wants to go. Cause you know, she'll have to put like 10% down. So she's trying to figure out if she really has that and is comfortable with that right now, but go either the lease route, which I'll make a little money off, but lease route or the buy route.
Well, I hope that it turns out to be the better one for you. I mean, leasing is, and for her, that the SBA can help her actually purchase, because what a great time to be able to get into ownership for a business owner too, for sure. It makes a huge difference if you can do that with you know, the assets that retain their value during a recession, and a recession-proof business too, right? Right.
Yep. And I didn't have to convince her, you know, she understands the value of buying. So that's good.
So fingers crossed you can find a way to do it. And good for you for helping her. How about you, Joanne? Goal this week?
So my goal this week is to get my pop buys going, because I have them in a box in my car. I just haven't delivered them, to get back up to speed with some of my calls, to continue to get my CRM just exactly how I want it. I've got to pull in some more names from Top Producer because I'm going to end that one. And then, what else? I've got some buyers I'm actively working with. So my goal is to get them under contract this
Yeah.
week. And then I have some other buyers moving here next week. So again, we're going to be, out there. So my goal is to get these 2 buyers under contract and then start working on some business for July and August.
Well, sounds like positives on both sides. And I'll tell you, just a short story before we part, that just is proof to how our system really works. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I got a referral from another agent that I had known when I was doing a lot of leadership things with the Association of Realtors. And that's a great way to make agent referral relationships, by the way. And so I had a referral from an agent, a former president of the association, who was in Aurora, referred me a client of theirs, of the family, that was up here in Westminster. And they wanted to buy a house several years ago. So we sold them a house, and we've stayed in touch with them, and always stayed in touch with our agent referral resource too. And what, we've done the pop buys, we've done the relationship building things, the contact, the community. And so we got a call just 2 days ago from them, and they are actually going to purchase an aunt's home that's in the family, and they're getting a really good deal on it, but they need us to sell their house within 30 days. And so I think we can do it. Yeah, but it's just great because they didn't even think of calling anybody else. They're like, hey, can we call you right now? We need to sell our house. I'm like, yes, call anytime. So I tell that story because our program today says we got to, keep with the system, trust the system works, and it really does. And so have a fantastic week building your relationships and on your appointments. And I will look forward to hearing about your week next week. And I will also send you an email with the specific dates for the modules and the rest of our classes so that it's really clear. Vacation season is here. We got to make room.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
Olivia.
Have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.